The entire restaurant fell silent when billionaire Alistair Vane looked at the young waitress and spoke a cruel sentence in flawless French, certain that she would not understand a single word. His wealthy guests laughed before she could respond. But then the waitress slowly lifted her eyes, answered him in the same language, and revealed something that made the color disappear from his face. Before we begin, if you believe kindness and second chances can change lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Compassion Chronicles for more emotional stories. And tell us in the comments, which country are you watching from? The restaurant was called the Golden Orchid, one of the most expensive places in the city. Its crystal chandeliers reflected warm light across polished tables, while soft piano music floated through the room. But behind the elegant walls, Mireia Solon moved quietly from table to table, carrying plates, filling glasses, and smiling even when her feet ached. Mireia was only 26, but life had already demanded more strength from her than most people would ever understand. 3 years earlier, her father had passed away after a long illness, leaving behind unpaid bills and a small apartment where Mireia now lived with her younger brother, Tuvin. Every morning, she helped Tuvin prepare for school. Every afternoon, she attended online classes, hoping to complete her degree in international languages. Every evening, she worked at the Golden Orchid until long after midnight. Most customers never noticed her exhaustion. They saw only a waitress in a simple uniform. That night, the restaurant's manager warned the staff that Alistair Vane would be arriving. Alistair owned hotels, technology companies, and private estates around the world. Newspapers called him brilliant. His employees called him impossible. He had built his fortune through discipline, ambition, and an unshakable belief that weakness had no place in success. When Alistair entered with 4 business associates, the entire dining room seemed to change. He wore a dark tailored suit and carried himself as though every person around him existed to serve his needs. Mireia was assigned to his table because she was calm under pressure. At first, everything went smoothly. Then Alistair began testing her. He complained that the water was too cold. He criticized the timing of the meal. When Mireia apologized and offered to correct every problem, he leaned back and studied her as though she were an object he had purchased. One of his guests whispered something, and Alistair smiled. Then he turned toward Mireia and spoke in French. "She probably cannot understand us," he said, loudly enough for the table to hear. "People like her spend their lives carrying plates because they lack the intelligence to carry anything more important." His guests laughed. Mireia stood perfectly still. Alistair continued, enjoying the moment. "Perhaps we should ask whether she even knows where France is. Or maybe geography is too difficult for someone whose future depends on remembering table numbers." The laughter grew louder. For a few painful seconds, Mireia said nothing. Her fingers tightened around the small notebook in her hand. She thought about the rent waiting at home. She thought about Tuvin's school fees. She thought about every customer who had spoken down to her because of the uniform she wore. Then she remembered something her father had once told her. "Never allow another person's money to decide the value of your mind." Mireia slowly raised her eyes. In clear, elegant French, she replied, "Sir, I understand every word you said. But intelligence is not proven by the language someone speaks. It is revealed by how they treat people who have nothing to offer them." The laughter stopped. Alistair's smile disappeared. Mireia continued in the same language, her voice calm but steady. "You believe I am only a waitress because you see my uniform. But you do not know that I study languages after work. You do not know that I support my younger brother. And you do not know how many educated people have lost their way because they confused wealth with worth." No one moved. Then Mireia looked directly at him and added, "And since you mentioned France, perhaps you would appreciate knowing that the quotation you placed in your company's annual report was translated incorrectly. The original meaning was not 'power belongs to those who take it.' It was 'greatness belongs to those who use power with responsibility.' Alastair's face turned pale. That sentence had been printed in every company brochure he owned. Only a handful of scholars had ever noticed the translation error. Yet this young waitress had recognized it instantly. Mireia quietly placed the bill folder on the table. "Your dinner will be ready shortly," she said in English. "I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening." Then she walked away. For the first time in years, Alastair Vane had no response. But Mireia's courage came at a cost. The next morning, the restaurant manager called her into his office. He explained that Alastair's assistant had complained about the incident. The manager was afraid of losing an important client. "You embarrassed him," he said. "He insulted me first," Mireia answered softly. "I know. But powerful people expect special treatment." Mireia lowered her eyes. She understood what those words meant. She was fired. As she walked home carrying a small box of belongings, the city seemed colder than usual. She tried not to cry until she reached the apartment. But when Tuvin opened the door and asked why she was home early, her strength disappeared. That night, she sat beside the window while Tuvin slept. She wondered whether speaking the truth had been worth losing the job that kept their lives together. The next morning, someone knocked. Mireia opened the door and froze. Alastair Vane stood in the hallway. He was alone. There were no assistants, no expensive cars visible outside, and no confidence in his expression. "I came to apologize," he said. Mireia crossed her arms. "An apology will not return my job." "I know." He explained that after leaving the restaurant, he had searched for the original quotation. Mireia had been right. Then he had asked his assistant to investigate her background, not to punish her, but because he could not understand how someone with such knowledge was working as a waitress. He had learned about her father. He had learned about Tuvin. He had learned that Mireia had been accepted into a language program but could not afford the final tuition payment. "I spent my life believing success meant never needing anyone," Alastair said. "Last night, you showed me that I had everything except the character to deserve it." Mireia remained silent. Then Alastair offered her a position at his international foundation. It was not a charity gift. She would work as a language and cultural advisor while completing her education. Her salary would be fair, and her studies would be funded. Mireia looked at him carefully. "Why should I trust you?" "You should not," he admitted. "Not yet. Trust should be earned." Months passed. Mireia accepted the opportunity, but she did not become silent simply because she worked for a billionaire. Whenever Alastair made a decision that ignored ordinary people, she challenged him. At first, his executives disliked her. But gradually, they began to notice that her ideas improved the company. She helped create education programs for employees' children. She encouraged Alastair to establish scholarships for young people working multiple jobs. And for the first time, Alastair visited the restaurants and hotels he owned, not as a powerful businessman, but to listen to the people who worked there. 1 year later, Mireia stood on a stage receiving her language degree. Tuvin sat in the front row, crying with pride. Alastair watched quietly from beside him. After the ceremony, Mireia turned to the audience and said, "Sometimes the person standing before you is carrying a dream you cannot see. Never judge someone by the work they do today. You may be looking at someone fighting for a future greater than you can imagine." Before the ending, please write this special comment: "Kindness reveals true greatness." If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to Compassion Chronicles. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind people that compassion can still change the world. Years later, Alastair returned to the Golden Orchid. He sat at the same table where he had once tried to humiliate Mireia. But this time, when a young waiter accidentally spilled water near him, Alastair stood, helped clean the table, and smiled. The waiter stared in surprise. Alastair simply said, "Everyone deserves respect." Across the city, Mireia was preparing to lead a new scholarship program for students who worked while studying. She had lost a job because she defended her dignity. But in doing so, she had gained a future, and helped a powerful man discover that wealth could impress people, but only kindness could make them remember him. And sometimes, the bravest reply is not spoken to defeat another person. It is spoken to remind them that every human being deserves to be seen.